How's it, everybody? So quick history paper 1 last minute tips video here. So in section A, paper 1, we're looking at the source-based questions first. So firstly, the Cold War, origins of the Cold War, the whole USSR versus USA, communism versus capitalism, and the end of the Second World War, what happened straight after that, and why did a Cold War develop? Just, chasing some level of superiority. The USSR versus the USA, it was an arms race, it was a space race. And the creation of spheres of interests, the installation of Soviet-friendly governments in satellite states, the whole USSR exercising control over large areas of the world, and the USA combating that with their policy of containment. Now, the Truman Doctrine, this was a foreign policy, a US foreign policy, established in 1947 to provide military and economic aid to countries under the threat of communist expansion, because the US believed in the domino theory. So, for example, if one country in that region fell, a typically major country, all the other countries would too. So if Vietnam fell to communism, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, maybe they would have followed similar suits. Then we look at Marshall Plan. Now, the Marshall Plan was a US initiative that provided billions in economic aid to help Western countries recover after World War II. And then we get to the Berlin crisis, Berlin blockade, Berlin airlift, all of that. East Berliners wanting to flee to West Berlin in hopes of a better life, greater economic opportunity. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, all the big Western countries, supporting capitalism. Warsaw Pact, your typical communist countries. Who was to blame for the Cold War? Entirely your opinion. Yeah, just some food for thought. Then we get to independent Africa. So Africa in the Cold War, colonialism, independence. The Angolans were colonized by the Portuguese. Outbreak of a civil war after independence in 1974, after the whole Carnation Revolution. MPLA being communist and FNLA and UNITA being capitalist, both backed by the respective sides. So MPLA backed by Russia, China, Cuba, FNLA and UNITA to a great extent backed by the Congo, USA, Britain and France. Reasons for nature of involvement in Angola, so why everyone was involved, just supporting their own economic interests. Even South Africa was involved, but this was apartheid South Africa, who, were in the pockets of the US. And then a bit about the Battle of Cueto-Cuanival. That was a major military confrontation in Angola from 1987 to 1988. That is considered a major turning point where X is equal to minus B over 2A. Haha, terrible maths joke. In Southern African history. Next, we get to the whole CRM, Civil Rights Movement. Oh my goodness, you probably cannot see that at all because that purple is just so dark. Let me erase that. Let's go yellow. So just the reasons and origins for the Civil Rights Movement, the need, the human need to be on equal footing, the role and impact and influence of MLK himself, the influence of passive resistance, Gandhi Satyagraha on Martin Luther King Jr., forms of protest through civil disobedience, so the whole Montgomery bus boycotts. If they're going to punish us like this, we're not going to utilize state services, we're going to sit in libraries, the Freedom Riders riding across buses, desegregating everything, the marches, Birmingham campaign, March to Lincoln Memorial, very, very huge. Freedom Summer, Selma Montgomery, have a good understanding of everything here. These are all possible questions that could just appear in your source base. School desegregation as well, Little Rock, that's not Arkansas, it's Arkansas, and the short-term and long-term goals that CRM wanted. So again, nothing too heavy there. So again, just discussion of Cold War with the Vietnam case study. Look, I have dropped a video, just feel free to look at it, feel it, take it all in. You can utilize the essay or just model your essay off of that one. I've got all the key facts there. So stages in the war, the struggle in Vietnam between the South Vietnamese that were aligned with US troops, they fought hand in hand, and then the Viet Cong, the more guerrilla fighters. North Vietnamese versus the US, knowing just bits and pieces about Ho Chi Minh, very important wartime leader, the father of like more modern day Vietnam. The war from a Vietnamese perspective and a US perspective. The US just was solely there to stop the spread of communism. That's it. Like, imagine, who are you to just go into a country and, tell them what economic policy to follow? The war was a global issue, and the eventual US withdrawal from Vietnam. So the US did lose that war, and they faced a lot of external resistance from the Viet Cong, these guerrilla fighters, and internal resistance from, their own student body and their own public. Independent Africa focus on Congo, Mobutu Sese Seko here, the ideas that influence Congo, the type of leader that he was, just wanting to decolonize everything, had all these anti-colonial policies, but eventually became a dictator, abolished the multi-party system, and became, an authoritarian because it was just his party there. The type of economy, again, in major cahoots here with the US, Britain, and France. They were exercising some level of neo-colonialism over Congo after Congo had achieved independence from Belgium. Social and cultural successes and challenges that the Congo faced, the benefits of independence, education, and Africanization, building some level of trust, some level of African unity, Pan-Africanism, uhuru. Have a good understanding of all of that. Again, I have made an essay video on it, so feel free to check it out. Next, we've got our civil society protests, so BPM, Black Power Movement, with discussion of the Black Panther Party, not the movie with, I think, Chadwick Boseman. The roles of Malcolm X, slightly more radical leaders versus MLK. They believe that, okay, thanks MLK for the whole passive resistance, peaceful protests, all of that. We really appreciate it. You've changed all the legislation with the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, all that good stuff. You know what? Thanks. But also, our lives, our socio-economic struggles have not changed at all. We're still battling in really heavy areas. We don't have equal opportunity. We needed some more radical militant change. So enter Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Huey Newton, and other African-American activists who are super important in just, changing the day-to-day lives of African-Americans. And just focus on their short and long-term gains and gains. And look, guys, I've also made an essay video on this, so feel free to check it out. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that you need to know for your history paper. Just stick to your guns. Remember all those reliability questions. Remember, if it says 3 times 1, just give 3 quick points. And be very careful with that 8 marker. Everybody, please reference source A, B, C, and D. Give some kind of own knowledge. Have a little introductory sentence and conclusion sentence. It's like a little essay in 1 paragraph, not multiple paragraphs, and keep it about 80 words. But yeah, that's about it. Be guided by the mark allocation. Anything that is times 1, it's basic. It's like a level 1 or level 2 question. You literally just pull it from the source. If it's 2 times 4, then give 2 points that are really, really well explained to get those 8 marks there. But yeah, most importantly, just have a bit of fun. It is most likely the last history paper one that you're going to write, unless you're watching this in June or in September before prelims. But yeah, I really hope this video helped, and all the best for your paper.